Shalom, my brothers. I truly hope all is well with you and your families. Today, I want to talk about an internal tension that most of us live with but rarely name. On one hand, we're asked by the women in our lives to be transparent, to open up and share what we're feeling. And on the other hand, we carry this quiet caution that if I say everything that's in me, will it be impassively dismissed like before, or will it be too heavy for the people I love and will break them? That internal tension between honesty and responsibility, and between being a human being and a fictional hero impervious to fear, is where a lot of men get stuck. Each year as the NFL season comes to an end and we approach the Super Bowl, I'm reminded of a comprehensive manhood principle the Most High revealed to me many years ago. I call it the Huddle Principle. Because leadership, or comprehensive leadership, is not about never feeling fear. It's about where, when, and how you release it. In my latest book, The Man, the Moment Demands, I describe the leader characteristic of the comprehensive man as someone who guides and inspires others. He knows when to speak and when to listen, leading by example and not intimidation. That's what the Huddle Principle is about, my brothers. See, a huddle is simply a moment where people come together to consult, exchange ideas, and decide what comes next. And in football and in life, that moment matters, because the huddle is the place where leadership either establishes or stabilizes the team or destabilizes it. What you carry into that space and the way you release it determines whether the people around you will walk away steadied or shaken. Most men don't implode because they feel pressure. They implode because they release what they're carrying in the wrong place and at the wrong time, creating consequences that make the situation, the team, or the family worse than if they had never said anything. But comprehensive leaders, my brothers, understand that silence isn't always leadership. Never addressing issues that threaten your family isn't restraint. It's a progression toward breakdown and eventually self-destruction. From a psychological and physiological standpoint, prolonged stress, whether it's financial pressure, job instability, or ongoing conflict in your marriage, shifts the nervous system into a constant state of overload. Stress hormones like cortisol remain elevated and clear thinking is compromised. The brain freezes in survival mode and you begin interpreting situations through threat rather than truth. In that state, the impulse to unload what you're carrying onto others becomes reactive and impulsive. You don't just want relief, you want immediate relief. And because many responsible, hardworking men feel unappreciated, there's often a deeper urge beneath it all, the need for the people you provide for to finally see the sacrifice you've been making. So you come home and unload everything. No filter, no timing, no awareness of who's standing in front of you. But here's the real problem. Unprocessed emotions and thoughts don't disappear when you speak. It transfers onto others. And my brothers, that's not transparency. That's emotional displacement. And this is similar to how many misinterpreted my use of Romans chapter 2, verse 24 in a recent video, thinking it was aimed at Drewski, instead of recognizing who the scripture is actually confronting. It's confronting those who claim to serve Christ but live for themselves. The very group Drewski's skit is about. But because these viewers were overwhelmed with emotions about Drewski, they came to an inaccurate conclusion without watching my entire teaching. See, when you allow emotion to replace wisdom, you will allow truth to be distorted by what you're feeling. I share this because the same lack of discernment and emotional stability shows up in leadership today. Now, let's connect the dots where you can see where this play out in real time. I would never forget Super Bowl 51, the Patriots versus the Falcons. Down 23-8, Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play, was getting hit, pressured, and frustrated. His body was hurt. His mine was taxed. Every statistical and historical indicator said, this game is over. I'm sure that sounds familiar to many of you right now, getting hit by the pressure of life. Now, I want you to imagine Brady walking into the team huddle and saying, fellas, I am exhausted. I'm tired of getting hit, and I don't know if I have anything left. No team has ever come back from a deficit this great. Yeah, that would have been honest, but it also would have been catastrophic. Because leaders don't narrate despair to the huddle. Of course, they don't deny reality, but they don't project instability either. And as a result of Tom Brady's resolute leadership, he rallied the Patriots to score an unprecedented 31 unanswered points to win Super Bowl 51. You have to understand, my brothers, your tone and your demeanor becomes the temperature of your home. We want to be leaders, but so many of us run from that responsibility of truly leading in every moment that demands someone strong, someone stable. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. That's not poetic language, my brothers. That's spiritual, neurological, and relational truth. And I learned this the hard way. There were moments in my own marriage where I knew what I was about to say would knock the wind out of my wife, Nicole. And instead of pausing, regulating my emotions and thoughts, and taking it elsewhere first, I unloaded it anyway. Not because I was brave, but because I was frustrated. I was dysregulated, and it cost her and my daughter emotionally and mentally. When 1 Peter 3:7 calls husbands to live with their wives with understanding and honor them as the more vulnerable vessel, it's not diminishing women. It's demanding discipline from men, the leaders. It places the burden on the husband to regulate his strength, measure his words, and carry pressure without crushing those he loves. This biblical command matters if you're a husband. It matters if you're a father. It matters if you're a leader. Because your family is already carrying their own weight, my brothers. And your job is not to add yours on top of theirs. However, this does not mean you stay silent. For it is written in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 1, that he who isolates himself rebels against wisdom and pursues selfish desires. It deeply grieves me when the first time a wife discovers the weight her husband was carrying is while she's planning his funeral. Learning too late what should have been shared with wisdom, not hidden in isolation. Men, the Most High did not bless us with a wife to be helpless. He gave us a wife to be a help, a partner in fulfilling his purpose for our lives. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, the Hebrew word for helper is Azer. It's the word used when Yah blessed Adam with Eve. And Azer does not mean weak or subordinate. It also means succor, the act of providing support, shelter, and protection in the midst of hardship and distress. It's the same word David used when he cried out to Yah the Most High as his helper, the one who came to his aid when the weight was too heavy for him to carry alone. So my brothers, don't stay behind a facade. There's no freedom in wearing one anyway. And there's nothing weak about casting your heavy cares onto the Most High. But if you're still faking how you really feel, you won't seek Yah in moments of stress or depression. You will default to performance mode, maintaining an image rather than doing the inner work required to become a comprehensive man. This is why you need mature men of Yah in your life. That's why I'm grateful for the Patreon brotherhood Yah led me to build. It's a space where men don't have to perform, don't posture, and don't pretend. And if you're not a member yet, you can find the link below in the description to this video. But whether you join or not, my brothers, the principle still remains the same. You need men who are emotionally stable, who will give you the space to vent without interrupting you, and, this is real important, without allowing you to spiral into complaining. Men who help you process without feeding your despair. Then, after you've emptied what you needed to release, put back on the full armor of Yah and get back into the fight. Because release without reinforcement, my brothers, will always leave a man exposed. So wrap the belt of truth around your waist to hold everything together. Put on the breastplate of righteousness to guard your heart. Lace up the shoes of the gospel of peace so you won't bring chaos when you're meant to bring stability and peace. Take up the shield of faith to extinguish fear, accusation, self-doubt, and condemnation. Put on the helmet of salvation to protect your mind. And unsheathe the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yah, the Most High, to cut through deception and the lies of our enemy, Satan. And last but never least, stay encouraged or engaged in prayer, because none of the armor works if you're disconnected from the one who supplies our strength. So now, before you call a huddle at home, I want you to pause and ask yourself a few questions. Is my wife already depleted today? Is this the moment to bring her what I'm carrying, or is this something I need to take to Yah first? Will it start an argument that negatively impacts our children's minds and their sense of safety? If after that pause, you still have the sense that this is something you need to share with your wife, then lead with wisdom and self-control. And I want you to ask your wife this: how's your capacity today? Are you in a place where you can handle something I want to share that may shake you? If the answer from her is no, or if the timing isn't right, then take it somewhere else, to a brother, to a mentor, because leadership isn't about never sharing. It's about sharing with wisdom. It's about sharing with the others in mind. As always, I hope this video encouraged you. If you want to be notified when I upload another one, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. To the men who are in my Patreon brotherhood, if you are watching this on Patreon, please download the reflection guide to this video so that you can not only put in the introspective work needed to transform, but also build with each other in the open floor chat room or offline. Well, until next time, my brothers, keep growing, keep building, and keep striving to be the man the moment demands. Shalom.